You make a couple of camera reviews, you share any video whatsoever, anywhere, and everybody is asking what lenses are you using. So in this video, that is what I'm sharing. 5 lenses that I use for 5 keyword shots. For those of you that are new, I'm a Lumix user. I use GH7 and GH5, so the sensor that I'm using is MFT. And that is the system I'm working with and I'm going to talk about. But I'm sure you can take away some points and apply it in any system that you are using in order to help you find the best glass you need. And I know everybody is talking about investing into glass, into lenses, and sometimes it may be overwhelming. Okay, but what kind of lenses I need? So I want to share my experience, the shots that I'm making with the lenses that I use and I found through the years that serve me the best. This is the type of lens that may not be the fastest or having the widest aperture, but it is the lens that I can secure every shot with. Having in mind that you're shooting with cropped sensor, 2.8 aperture is not that bright, but in terms of reliability, I'm using it all the time. It is great for documentary style shooting, for weddings, for run and gun type scenarios. If you're a solo filmmaker, you get the full coverage of shots with it, from 12 to 40 mils on MFT, which is the equivalent of 24 to 80 millimeters on full frame. So you get the point. I can rely on the autofocus of it, and also I can be sure that it will cover from wides to close-ups in any scenarios. Literally, there is not a time that it is not in my camera bag, either when I'm traveling or when I'm on a professional shoot. So for my wide shots, I use the low 7.5 millimeters, the equivalent of 24 millimeters in full frame. The widest aperture of this lens is 2 f-stop, which helps in darker scenarios. A lot of people are actually using it for night photography and landscapes, and it is a pretty decent in it. I have made a couple of photos in the past and I really enjoy using it in that terms. But why I really love it? It is because it's wide enough, yet it doesn't warp the edges and make that weird look at the ends. So you can feel comfortable using it on more professional sets and yet be a great travel and vlogging lens. I have adored wide shots from the time I was skating and hiking in the mountains, and the only camera I got was a knockoff GoPro that I won in some online contest. So the story is that I bought this lens even before I got the Lumix GH5 because I knew I'm going to have it all the time in me and I'm going to use it. And also the flares that it gives are just so nice. This 35mm 7 Artisan prime lens is the cheapest one I have and still probably one of my favorites and the one that I use all the time in order to create a certain look in my videos or to add up the vibe. It is extremely bright with iris opening of 0.95, which makes it the perfect choice for low light shots, and it has that creamy and soft and vintage look. When you open the aperture at its maximum, you get that blurred background, and honestly, I think I always shoot with it at 0.95 aperture. Maybe I overuse it a little bit, but I just like it so much. Now it is a bit tricky to use it, I'll be honest, as it is a manual lens, so both of the focus and the aperture is controlled manually. You can't adjust anything in camera, and besides, pulling the focus on this one is quite a delicate work of art itself, especially if you're at such open aperture, but I think that adds up to the character of the lens. And if you're used to focus manually, you will get the hang of it pretty fast. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there are not a lot of such small lenses that you can set up with overall not that big rig and pull similar dolly shot. This power zoom Lumix G Vario lens is just made for such shots. It is 45 to 175 millimeters, which in full frame is the equivalent to 90 to 350 millimeters, And that is a crazy amount of zoom you're able to pull off of this baby. The range covers close-ups from quite far away, and the fact that it is with power zoom makes it ideal for setting it on a Ronin, as it won't change the center point and the balance when you're zooming in and out all the time. Yeah, I will admit, it's not that bright lens, the aperture is 3.6 and when you zoom in it closes up to 5.6, so you gotta keep it basically all the time at 5.6 if you're zooming in and out a lot. It's definitely not my go-to lens for wildlife scenarios. Now if you're filming wildlife or documentaries and animals and birds, I see how it may be your go-to lens, but the use I get out of it is when I pair it with a Ronin and zoom motor and I use it for a video production in church or for any one-man dolly shots. Two lenses in the same series from Sigma, the 16mm 1.4 f-stop and the 56mm 1.4 f-stop. I love these two. First of all, they're primes, and the open aperture allows using them in any low light scenario, and despite that they're that bright and with that open aperture, I find them to be quite sharp. The autofocus works great with the new Lumix GH7 system. Usually the 16mm I use for interview setups and for filming these YouTube videos. Actually, I'm filming on it right now, and for more stationary shots, but I quite enjoy using it on run and gun scenarios too, especially in low light. The 56mm I use for details and close-ups and headshots. It really guides your eye to what is important in the shot with that focal length and the bokeh it creates. I think they have this specific series of Sigma lenses, the 16, 30 and 56mm for Sony users too. I will leave the link somewhere below. But yeah, these are my primes and I quite enjoy them. Back in the days I used to film actually everything with them, and I used to film manually with them as the GH5 didn't have that good autofocus. But that taught me a lot actually. Using prime lenses and pulling the focus manually looks like an extra effort and quite the hassle, but in terms of giving you knowledge and skills with the camera and better understanding of how the camera works, having such limitations is actually helpful in the long term. So these are the 6 lenses. I have put links for each one down below. Glass is important part of your inventory as a filmmaker, so invest into it wisely. Honestly, I would love to try some new lenses soon, especially cine lenses and anamorphic ones. So any company out there, if you want to send me to test a few lenses, I'm your guy. I hope this video helped you in your journey of finding the best lenses for your camera. Thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching, and you know the drill. Like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video.